Thank you. I'm actually here to introduce Wolfgang. This is like a tag team, but we all have something to say. And I really just want to emphasize that Paul and I are probably the most least likely to succeed at a direct sales product thing. And so if you're sitting here wondering how you can do it, it's just an organic process, because that's how we've actually accomplished what we've done. And it's because this mat is, it sells itself. You just tell people and you show them, you lend it, you teach, and it actually does its own thing. And we've seen it change people's lives all over the place in so many ways. My beautiful friend Layla is here, and she took the mat to her mom. Where are you, darling? She took the mat to her mom in Iran, and it changed her mom's life for a little while. My friend Brige is here, and she's still got her mom on that mat, and she says it's changed Lulu's life. It's put a spark in her eye. And so, you know, it's for those of us who are wanting to get well, and for those of us who are wanting to ease the pain of getting older, and it gives you that spark of life. It rejuvenates you from the cell in. So when Paul and I won this crazy pedal to the metal contest, we could hardly believe this, because we read the criteria for it and laughed out loud, literally laughed out loud. How would we ever do that? And then the next thing you know, we had done that. And so I'm here to tell you just a little bit about Wolfgang and his partner Veronica. And they picked us up in Germany. His nephew Manuel did, and they took us on a tour de force. They are race car drivers, and they took us to the Netherlands to watch them race. And if you've never seen anything like that, it's amazing to be there in person. And then we went to Germany, and we went to Switzerland to see all the pieces of this company and how it's been put together. And when I walked away from that, you know, Paul and I were in consensus over one thing, is that the quality of this item that you've either purchased or are thinking of purchase is of the highest caliber. And it's because of that guy. He really is the most personable man, and he has traveled the globe putting this company together and this product together. And he's so friendly and so knowledgeable and so kind and so polite and so generous that he's made friends all over the place in companies where we have this product put in at a level where Mercedes-Benz is getting something done. And this is still relatively a small company. And that is putting the quality of this product up here. And then, you know, the tabs are being done by the company where Apple is getting their tabs done, because he knows somebody there, and he's best friends with the guy who puts the technology together. And so we have a product that is being sold in the $5,000 to $6,000 range that could easily be in $10,000 plus. And that's because he keeps it at a price where it can sell and it can get out to people, and he can do it because he has favors that he calls in around the globe, and they love doing it for him. And when you get to meet him and you get to talk to him for a little while, you're going to love doing this for him too. And yourself, as Laura said, the results are amazing. It's a life changer for everybody who's ever brought it into their lives. And so, without further ado, I would like to introduce Mr. Wolfgang Jaksch.
Good evening, everybody. I have almost tears in my eyes. Thank you. I didn't expect that. Wow. Thank you very much for this incredible introduction and for your very kind and nice words. That means a lot to me. And thank you for coming and saving your time and investing your time to hear something tonight about a life-changing technology, which is on the market since thousands of years and nobody is aware of it, because we live in a society where certain things are not coming on the surface or have no chance to coming on the surface or are suppressed because of the existing systems and whatever. But the paradigm shift is happening, and I hope I will give you a little bit of an inside view tonight, what this technology means, what it can do for you, It's always a little bit difficult to bring something to people which is backed up with a lot of scientific background, with a lot of medical background, and at the same time to translate it in a language that everybody understands it. But I think I'm pretty good in that because I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor. And, but I'm in this business since more than 20 years. And I learned a lot during that journey. I learn every day more and more. So the cool thing about energy medicine, or in particular pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, is it's a never-ending story. It never stops when it comes to education, when it comes to hearing all these testimonials, which still when I hear it, they sound too good to be true. That makes people scared sometimes. But on the other hand, we have more than 1.5 million users already in the world. And actually, the feedback from the users is the engine what keeps me going. You know, because I think, you know, I have the pleasure and the gift to work in a business where you get feedback of what you're doing. Usually you don't get this anymore. And this makes a complete different story when you are a visionary, which I think I am, because I might see things in the future which are not there. And usually if you have a vision and you have a mission to go for it, you will be a part of this paradigm shift because you help to get it done, you know. And this is gonna happen. But before I start, I will tell you a little bit about myself. This is just, you know, we talk already about Bluetooth and stuff. Just want to give you some enlightening news that men are more like Bluetooth because he is connected to you when you are nearby but searches for other devices when you are away. So this is how men usually are. And then women, we can compare them to Wi-Fi because she sees all available devices, but she usually connects to the strongest one. So, you know, and it's just a little bit information. It has nothing to do with PEMF, but at least funny, huh? The problem is when you do a lecture at 7:30 in the night, you have a lot of delta and theta waves around you. You know what it means? These are these slow waves, you know? Everybody comes from work, is totally tired, and now they have to listen to this guy from Switzerland with his nice English, Chinglish, German English. So I hope we're gonna make it through the evening. It takes about 1.5 hours. So be prepared and don't develop so much delta and theta because otherwise I have to raise my voice to keep you awake. And I don't want to do this. That was me about 24 years ago. I look like 15, but I was actually 26 on this picture. Why I look like this? It's very simple. Because I got diagnosed with cancer when I was 26 years old. I was a professional athlete. I tried to play hockey, which the Canadians can do much better than the Germans. I know that, so that's why I don't want to talk about this any longer. But actually, at this age of 26, I lost all my life with one message because I was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, stage 3 to 4, and it happened after a hockey practice. I felt a little knot here on my hip. I went to the team doctor and he said, you should go to the hospital because this thing should not be here. I went to the hospital, they did an ultrasound, and the doctor immediately kept me in the hospital and did a surgery, emergency surgery right away. They took off the tumor and it had the size of a fist. It was growing inside and I didn't feel anything. I was at that time about 205 pounds. I was a tank. And this is how I looked like 3.5 months later. I lost about 40 kilos, 35 to 40 kilos. I went through 2 surgeries. The first one, they took my tumor off. The second surgery, they opened me from here to here. They took out the entire lymph string to make sure that they catch eventual metastasis. And then they put me on a full stage of chemotherapy. This is how I looked like 2 weeks before I left after I left the hospital. I went on a retreat to Disney World in Orlando. This is where these pictures were made. So I look like a person, like a child on this picture, because I lost not only physical substance, but I also lost a lot of faith in life. My psychological situation was pretty bad. More or less, I was not the same person than before. The problem is when you suffer from a severe disease, a severe chronic disease, specifically cancer. What happens usually, and we have I have some fellows here in the audience as well, who already went through this and who probably know what I'm talking about. The problem is when you leave the hospital and when they are done with you, with all these medical stuff they can do, with all the therapies they can provide, with all the medications then they can provide, they leave you alone. You go out of the hospital, and the problem with cancer is, the tricky thing is, you never know whether it comes back or not. So you start living with this fear constantly, 24/7. I hope that this devil will not start growing again. And this is probably the worst part of the whole story, that you need to accept this, that this situation is happening, and you have to find probably a very individual way to deal with it. And I think every cancer patient deals in a different way with this. My problem at that time, 26 years old, playing hockey, going party every weekend, I had absolutely no clue about health, about medicine. So my problem was, because of this very serious message, at that time, by the way, 24 years ago, I'm turning 50 next year, wow, cannot believe this, right? 24 years ago, the prediction of survival with this particular cancer was 30%. So that means 7 out of 10 die within 6 months. So that was my message. So I went out from the hospital after all that stuff, and I knew I was statistically 70% dead. But because I'm a very optimistic person, I realized I'm still 30% alive. I did the math, okay? So I was literally talking to myself, what can I do now to deal with this situation? What can I do to become proactive to prevent myself from another cancer attack? And then you know what's funny? When you go out of the hospital, I mean, your environment becomes aware of it, that something's wrong with you. You know, those messages, they always run fast. He has cancer, don't touch him. You know? And then when you come out of the hospital, those people approach you and they give you all kinds of hints and tips. You should see this doctor, he can help you. You should eat this. We have all these nice MLM companies, they offer these nutritional products, and you should eat this vitamins, and you should drink this water, and this and that. That happened to me too. I got all these nice advices. The problem is, when you are not educated, you cannot evaluate all this information. You know, one thing I know for sure nowadays, if I look back, if I would eat and drink all that stuff what offered to me, I would be not alive anymore, believe me. You know? So, of course, I understand that people want to help, because human beings, in general, they suffer from the helping syndrome. They rather help other people than themselves. This is in our genes, in our DNA. You know, some people even die from that. Those are the people who always help and not ask for anything in return. We all have these people in our environment as well. So don't do this either, because it's not healthy. But so I realized I need to educate myself. I started educating myself. So 24 years ago, it was a little bit different. We didn't have this nice Auntie Google. We couldn't ask her, you know, what can I do if I suffer from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, because this is what people do nowadays, you know. If they don't know anything, they ask Google, because they think Google knows everything. I just want to give you a little message to you. Google knows nothing. Google is a search engine. So if you ask Auntie Google, what can I do if I catch a cold? Then Auntie Google is running through the web and collecting all the information which people put on this web. And depending on who paid more and more, your search results will show up. And then, you know, of course, we are very lazy. We always look for the one on page 1, because you don't have to scroll to page 65. And then we read this and we take it for granted. And this was probably posted by a person who has absolutely no clue about it, or even wants to mislead people, or wants to sell a certain product which is related to this and that. I just want to make you aware, be a little bit more careful when you do this. And don't take every information for granted which is on Google, because Google is not a library. Google is a search engine. And everything what you find on the web is or was posted there from other people. So a lot of stuff is personal opinion. And 24 years ago, I didn't have Google. So I really had to go to the libraries to read all these scientific books. And everything what was written, that, you know, that took really efforts. You had to move yourself, imagine. You had to walk and to run to the library. Today, unthinkable. Because today everything goes online, and you don't have to even leave your house. You can order your food right in your refrigerator, you know. And we are perfectly designed for this life, and that's why we have all these chronic diseases now. I will talk about this later on. So I was on beginning my journey to educate myself, reading books. I visited lectures. I went to congresses about prevention, and of course I was in the cancer community. I always rejected to talk to cancer patients, because it makes it even worse. You know, because you share the misery that, you know, that brings you down. And so I was more or less rejecting this, because, like I said, I'm a very positive person. I even rejected to go to a rehabilitation, because I knew exactly I will be surrounded by cancer patients. So the topic the whole day is, and how long they gave you. You know, this is it. I don't want to have these talks, you know. I wanted to, you know, to have an idea about what can I do to protect myself. So, yeah, and one of these lectures I visited, coming to the point now, there was a guy in Austria, and he was talking about pulsed electromagnetic fields. And about that time, 24 years ago, those first units, which we know nowadays, they appeared on the market. It was actually a development from the Technical University in Munich in Germany, Professor Dr. Warnke, and he figured out that if you expose a human being with an electromagnetic field with certain properties, with a certain frequency, a certain intensity, and a certain waveform, that those people start sleeping better. The first prototype of PEMF was called the sleeping machine. So actually the first beneficial discovery of PEMF was that people start sleeping right away much better. And till today, this is, by the way, one of the primary benefits which you will feel almost right away when you are exposed to such a technology, PEMF technology, that you really start sleeping better. Not such a bad thing if we look at the numbers, that about 40% worldwide have sleeping problems. You know, about 20% already show severe symptoms of insomnia. This is, by the way, due to the environmental impacts and also due to the medications, to the toxins they put inside us. That has some collateral damage, and most of it leads always to the first prevailing symptom, which is insomnia. So this was the first discovery, and this guy was doing a lecture. Why I was so alerted because I started suffering from insomnia. Because of the chemotherapy, I was energetically, literally under the carpet already. I heard that he told, yeah, you have to lie on this system 2 times for 8 minutes and you are exposed to a magnetic field and then you start sleeping better. I can tell you one thing, if you suffer from cancer and then you get in addition insomnia, this is probably the worst of the worst. Because on one hand you fight to keep up and to regenerate, and on the other hand you cannot do this because you cannot sleep anymore. I had literally days during this period where I didn't want to stay alive anymore because I had no reason for it anymore. I didn't feel my body, nothing. And so this guy did a brilliant lecture. You know, at the end he did the sales pitch, buy one, get another applicator for free. I don't remember whatever it was. It was freaking expensive, you know, but, you know, I realized it's really cool. You can buy something which you can do in the comfort of your home. So you don't have to go somewhere. So you can take over your own responsibility to do something, and you can do it whenever you want. You're not depending on a schedule of a clinic or whatever. And it sounds very promising. And the way the lecture was done, it was pretty clear to me. At the end, it made sense to me. So I was committed and I bought one of these units. And then, of course, you take this home and you start your first session. And it's pretty cool. Yeah, I spent about 10 grand at that time for something which I never heard about this before. And the next cool thing was you turn this machine on, you lie on this body mat for 8 minutes, and you know what you feel? Absolutely nothing. You know, it doesn't do anything with you. Did I turn it on? I have to look twice. You know, normally when you get a therapy, you know, at least it has to create some pain or some feelings. It has to make your body warm, or an injection must hurt, otherwise, you know, but nothing. 8 minutes, peace, nothing. I said, oh, okay. The first, second application, I didn't feel anything. Of course, I didn't sleep better. You know, after 4 weeks, I did my first resume. I figured out nothing really changed. So I called this guy, and I was a little bit mad about this situation. And of course, I was impatient because I wanted to get some progress. And I asked him to take back the system and to give me my money back. And of course, I think it was an MLM company, so you know the commission is paid. So he didn't want to reimburse me for the system. But he said one interesting sentence, which I still remember. He said, Wolfgang, you have to understand, holistic medicine or energy medicine, it's not an injection, it's not a medication, it's a regulation system. And regulation takes time. You know, he's actually right. If you get a heart attack tomorrow, which I don't wish to anybody, of course, but every heart attack has to be earned. You know, you don't get it overnight. You have to do the wrong thing over a long period of time on a consistent basis. And then, you know, at some point the result shows up, which is the heart attack. If you eat wrong, if you don't exercise, if you drink a lot, if you smoke a lot, whatever, and if you do this all together, over a long period of time, you know, our body can compensate so much. But it comes to the point where it's not possible anymore, and then bang, bingo, heart attack. So, you know, probably the same with cancer, with all kinds of chronic diseases. All chronic diseases are well earned. You know, your chronic lower back pain, which you earned over years because you're sitting in an office doing always the same thing wrong on a constant basis every day, well earned. And so you have to realize if you want to get rid of something which is a long time in your body, you need to be a little bit patient. And this doesn't fit to our education because we are educated to get the quick fix. You know, this is the chemical approach. If you have a headache, you take a painkiller, headache is gone. Nobody asks what's the cause of the headache. We just want to kill the symptom and it's done. And he gave me this second lecture, what I got from him, and I said, yeah, he's right. Yeah, I must become a little bit more patient, and I must give the system more time. He said the system works already on you, but the results don't show up yet. So keep on going. You know, it will come. The shift will come. So I did it, and yeah, after 2 more weeks, so after six weeks in addition using this technology, I had my first night sleeping through like a baby for 12 hours. And I will never forget this day when I woke up in the morning, because it was the first morning since months where I felt that my body is responsive, that it's reacting to an external stimulus and create action out of this. And that was for me the initial kick to realize that it seems like this reversal process is kicking in now. And I was driven by this experience and I kept on going. And within 3 months, I was energetically almost the same person than before the cancer. Of course, not physically, because I still had to gain a lot of weight. But driven by this experience, I started to become interested about PEMF. And not even interested, I became addicted in learning about this technology, because I figured out this is so cool. You have something. By the way, a PEMF device doesn't need any maintenance. It gives you abundant energy. This is so cool. You have it. Once you have it, you can use it anytime, everywhere you want. You don't need to refill something, nothing. It just works. Believe it or not, the system I bought 24 years ago, it's still working. It's still working perfectly. And I didn't have to do any maintenance with it. So this is pretty cool stuff. And then, after collecting some knowledge, I was, in the meantime, because I could not work, I could not play my game, I could not do my sport, I started visiting congresses all over the world, first in Europe and then all over the world, which were related to energy medicine. By the way, I figured out in the Eastern countries like Baltic states, Russia, also in Asia, specifically Japan, they did a lot of research about this kind of technology. And I met some incredible people, I must say it. And I learned so much about the basic properties of energy medicine, and in particular about pulsed electromagnetic fields, when it comes to frequencies, when it comes to which intensities you should apply, which kind of waveforms, and so on, applicators, how to lay out them. And one day I was looking at my system and I said, maybe we should improve this. Because it was working, but it was not looking so nice, and it was missing some properties. Just from the knowledge I collected, I thought I could do it better. And this was the beginning how I started to design my first PEMF device on my own, based on this unit which I had. And I'm not an engineer. I have no clue about electronic manufacturing around that time. But it is interesting, the principle of resonance works. If you want something, really from the bottom of your heart, then you find the right people. And this happened to me. I found those people who were capable of turning my ideas into a product. I knew exactly how this product should look like. I knew exactly what this product should contain in terms of what it should give me and which kind of properties, but I didn't know how to do it. But believe it or not, those people were right there. So those people helped me, and I started making a business out of it. And I didn't even think about creating a global movement with this. I just was so intrigued personally about my personal experience with this device and with this technology that I could not rest to share it with everybody around me. And this is still the main trigger of this technology. If somebody has a positive experience, everybody wants to share it with everybody, because it's so cool and it works, you know, even if you don't believe in it. It's cool. It still works. You just have to do it, you know? And then there was this story about the animals. You know that if you expose a pulsed electromagnetic field to animals, they react right away. Right away, you can observe that in 1 minute. They get it, without a lecture, without studies. They get it, you know? And we have to convince people hours and hours, show them studies and pictures. They have no clue what I'm talking about. And they still, oh, I don't know if it works for me. You know? This technology works for everybody because no matter which country you are, no matter which disease you have, it doesn't matter, it works. And of course I will explain you how and why. But this is my personal story. And now, 20 years later, we came out with the 6th generation of our PEMF devices. We became the global leader in this industry. And I had no clue 20 years what I'm doing. And everything because the product works, and because not only me, but all the nice people all over the world who share this mission and vision with me, they do exactly the same thing. Usually they experience the technology themselves based on their own story, based on their own illness or problems what they have, and then they say, wow, this thing works, I want to share it with everybody. And this is where we're at now, you know. And at the moment, we just released our brand new product, which is based on a cool Android tablet, and you can do PEMF. I will talk about this later. So you know, the idea is further to put PEMF technology in the lifestyle of people's life, in the daily life. Everybody should have one. 25 years ago, if you tell people everybody should have a smartphone, are you crazy? And now we have more smartphones than people on this planet.